Hello and good evening from the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Authorities in the US state of Washington have hit back after President Donald Trump threatened to take back a police-free district controlled by protesters in Seattle.
Can't happen if this is gonna work.
Police abandoned a precinct there on Monday after days of clashes in a move city officials say aimed to reduce tension. Hundreds of people have been gathering there to demonstrate, hear speeches and attend events over the death of a black man, the 46-year-old George Floyd, while in Minneapolis police custody. Mr. Trump said the area had been overtaken by domestic terrorists. Governor Jay Inslee said Mr. Trump should stay out of the state's business, and Seattle's mayor said any invasion of the city would be illegal. French policemen have rallied against a ban on chokehold restraint techniques imposed by the government in France. The government's action was in response to public anger over the death of George Floyd and alleged police brutality in France. French Interior Minister Christophe Castaner said earlier this week the chokehold arrest would no longer be taught in police schools. But the police unions did not welcome the decision, arguing the chokehold saved lives and was a technique that officers needed until an alternative was found. The UK economy has shrunk by a record 20.4% in April due to the coronavirus lockdown. That's according to the British Office for National Statistics. The Bank of England and the country's Budget Office have warned that Britain could be heading for its deepest recession in 3 centuries this year. Next week, much of Britain's retail sector is due to reopen as long as shops follow social distancing rules. Intense protests have broken out in Lebanon after the local currency lost 25% of its value in just 2 days. Protesters have burned tyres and blocked the streets of the main cities in the country. Some clashes between protesters and the police were reported in Beirut and the second biggest city, Tripoli. The Lebanese pound has lost 70% of its value since October 2019, and Lebanon defaulted for the first time in its history in March. The video conferencing app Zoom has admitted it suspended accounts of human rights activists as requested by the Chinese government. Zoom has confirmed having disrupted or shut down the accounts of 3 activists on Chinese request before they were due to hold online events relating to the Tiananmen Square massacre anniversary and discussions surrounding the crisis in Hong Kong. Zoom has also suggested in a statement they will block any further meetings that China complains are illegal. The Chinese Foreign Ministry also said that Twitter should shut down accounts that smear China if it wants to fight disinformation. A Gambia man living in the United States has been charged with torturing political prisoners in his home country following a failed coup in 2006. Michael Sang Correa was a member of a feared paramilitary unit known as the Junglers. It has been described as a hit squad for the then President Yahya Jammeh. Soon afterwards, President Jammeh lost the presidential election after he tried to extend his 22-year rule. At least 10 Ivorian soldiers have been killed and 6 wounded in an attack on an Ivory Coast military point near the northern border with Burkina Faso. The soldiers wounded in the attack were flown back to Abidjan. It was not yet clear who carried out the attack, which was the deadliest in Ivory Coast since 2016. No one has claimed responsibility, but those responsible are believed to have come from Burkina Faso. North Korea has announced the regime sees little use in maintaining a personal relationship between leader Kim Jong-un and the US President Donald Trump. This comes as the 2nd anniversary of the first summit between the 2 leaders. According to North Korea's state agency, the US hostile policies would prove Washington remains a long-term threat to the North Korean state. In response to this, Pyongyang said it will develop more reliable military forces to counter that threat. And finally, while the Great Ethiopian Run was cancelled due to the coronavirus pandemic, a virtual event has been created to replace it. The event is considered one of the biggest running events in Africa, and it was due to be run in November. It's been replaced instead by an online virtual event created by the Great Run organisers. The run would normally attract more than 45,000 participants coming from all over Africa and the world, but this year the virtual event was limited to only 500 participants and the normal distance of 10 kilometres was halved. The goal for this year's participants is to run 5 kilometres over the course of 1 week. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.